Afternoon. Thanks for joining us here at 4:30 today. Police clearing the scene near a campground in Manitowoc County today after skeletal remains believed to belong to a small child were discovered by a hunter on Saturday. Now, this was the scene from the air yesterday evening, about 24 hours after the discovery. You can see all the law enforcement officials there from across numerous agencies working this scene, collecting evidence. The family of 4-year-old Elijah Vu, now missing for over 6 months, awaiting answers from police as to whether the remains found were his. Elijah's grandmother, Jody Bauer, posting on Facebook this morning that they are likely Elijah's, but police have yet to confirm that suspicion with DNA evidence, and investigators say this is going to be a long process to identify those remains. As we've reported, Elijah was reported missing on February 20th by his caretaker and his mother's boyfriend, Jesse Vang. Vang says while he was sleeping, Elijah walked out of the apartment of his in Two Rivers. He and Elijah's mother, Katrina Bauer, were subsequently arrested, both facing felony charges of chronic child neglect, but they have not been charged in direct connection to Elijah's disappearance. Action 2 News has been on the scene since this news broke yesterday evening, and our Brittany Schmidt joins us live now with the very latest details on this developing story. And Brittany, tell us what you've seen there on the ground today. I know you were there. It was actually your video shot of the mobile command center leaving that site. What else have you seen out there today?
Yeah, we were able to confirm with the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office that they did in fact leave the scene this afternoon. But it's been a very different, very quiet out here. We're actually just across the street from Camp Manitou. That's where I told you yesterday there was a cop car parked outside of the gate, monitoring it, making sure that nobody could go inside. That cop car is no longer there. However, the gate is still closed. But yeah, we saw the command center leave, and once they did and kind of opened up the area, we took a drive down that area to see, what police were dealing with when they recovered the remains. And I can tell you, extremely dense with vegetation, things of that nature. We stayed on public property, of course, to respect everyone out here, but really, really quiet. And like I said, we're across the road here from Camp Manitou, and we're actually on a property. We talked to the owners here last night. We kind of talked to them again today, and they confirmed saying that Katrina Bauer used to live here with her kids on this property. So they tell us she was very familiar with this area.
All right, Brittany, one thing that we're all familiar with is the long length of searches and how long they were searching all this area in Manitowoc County. And when we heard this story last night, again, we're stressing there has not been any identification made yet. That's going to take some time. But I remember your last conversation with investigators that we talked about, and they were so confident that they would find him somewhere in Manitowoc County. Take us back to those discussions. Why were investigators so confident that he would be found there?
Right. I think a lot of people were wondering why they were so heavily focused on Manitowoc County, especially with him being from the Wisconsin Dells area and so forth. And when I asked them directly, they kept that investigation and those details really close to their vest. They didn't give me any information as to why or what they had that led them to believe that he was here in Manitowoc County. But one of the examples that sticks out to me when I was talking to the captain, he kind of put it like this, and it kind of stuck with me, is that, if you lose your keys, you're going to go look where you've been, where the evidence shows you it's been at my house, or they're in my car, or they're on the counter. But I'm not going to go to your house because I know my keys aren't at your house. So that's the kind of perspective that he put it in. They had information, they had enough to keep the investigation focused on this area here in Manitowoc County.
All right, we're looking at some of the file video of past searches, including those drone searches that one day where they had all the agencies from around the state searching that area for drones. But as you told us, driving back in the area investigators were last night and today, just how dense it is, and you can understand how they might miss that. And that takes me back to a conversation we had after you interviewed one of the investigators around the 6-month anniversary of his disappearance, how the public plea for folks going out into the woods. We knew hunting season was coming. In fact, bow hunting season starts on Saturday in the state of Wisconsin. There would be people out in the woods, and it turns out, in fact, it was a hunter scouting the woods that uncovered these remains. So that public plea actually apparently worked in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we were driving out there and looking at how dense it was, it really does make sense from our perspective that a hunter would find them. You know, talking to people around here, as you mentioned, hunting is starting up here soon. But really, hunters, when they're out and they're canvassing their land and looking at things, they're paying attention, right? They're going slow. They're looking at trails. They're looking at the ground. So it makes sense that a hunter found him. And again, yeah, there was a fleet of hunters. There was a fleet of farmers to check their land as they were tilling it this fall. There were a lot of pleas, and it led to the discovery of remains that we still don't know the identity of yet.
All right, and again, that's going to be some time, investigators tell us. Brittany, thanks so much for that perspective. We'll see you again on Action 2 News at 5 o'clock.